This meeting is being recorded.
Shabbat Shalom. It is nice to see all of your faces on this Rainbow Shabbat. We have 2 Rainbow Shabbats a year, sponsored by our Rainbow Committee. And we're so excited to welcome our special guest this evening, Carl Sartino from Fenway Health. We're really, really excited, and we'll be hearing from him later on. But we're so happy you're here tonight, this evening, as Shabbat. Still daylight outside, but as we go through the service, the sun is going to set and we're going to move into Shabbat. And let's begin by welcoming Shabbat together by lighting the candles. I want to think about it's been a long week. It's been an incredibly painful week This week we watched another act of white supremacy, another act of terrorism against the Asian community in the United States. And our hearts are heavy, and our hearts and thoughts are with the Asian American community, the Asian community, and the Pacific Islander community. And we're thinking of them. And as we go into Shabbat, we want to think about bringing peace to all those suffering right now, all those in need, thinking about may we all enter Shabbat with a sense of peace, a sense of community, and a communal sense of strength. So with that, let's light the Shabbat candles. Let's bring some light into our weeks and our Shabbat. I invite you, if you have Shabbat candles near you, I invite you to light them now. And I will share my screen and we'll say the blessing. Leah will lead us in the blessing. Oh.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Shabbat shalom. Again, take a minute to really let that light, the light of the candles, sink in. And we'll move into Shir Chadash. One of the ways we experience, one of the ways we are able to be together as a community is through song, by singing. And so we'll share from Psalm 96. Sing a song, sing a new song. We'll move into the Psalm for Shabbat, the Psalm special for Shabbat that we only say once a week, that it's good to praise God. It's good to sing songs. And we're going to do a melody that Leah and I did, I guess it was about a month ago. that I think both her and I love. And I want to invite you. I learned from a teacher of mine, Rabbi Evan Leader. Till sometimes we'll begin this melody with a wordless melody, a nigun, and then we'll move into using the words. And I invite you, as we're singing the nigun, to join us. But let the nigun overcome you. Rabbi Leader says, let the nigun flow through you, and allow it really to overtake you and sink into that. So I invite you to try to really close your eyes if you want. If you're around people, you can put your arms around others, and really just allow the nigun to let you feel whatever you are feeling at this very moment, to be present in this moment as we welcome Shabbat in together.
we turn to Lecha Dodi, the moment in which we say, yes, we are ready to welcome Shabbat. And sometimes we don't actually feel yet what we're saying with our words. And I want to acknowledge that, that sometimes the words are there to help us even when we don't feel that. And so at the end of Lecha Dodi, we say, Boi v'shalom. Ateret ba'ala gam b'simcha u'b'tzola. We say, come, Shabbat, come to us with peace. Maybe I'm not feeling so peaceful yet, or I'm not feeling so joyous yet. But I know if I speak the words, I can create the space for Shabbat to bring me some peace and some joy. So we'll sing a joyful Lecha Dodi together. Lecha Dodi.
take a moment, close your eyes if you want to, take a deep breath, and breathe in the feeling of Shabbat all around you. Feel the feeling of Shabbat. I know the week is long. I'm always rushing on Fridays to get everything done before Shabbat starts. And as soon as I sign on to the Zoom, as soon as I see your faces and start singing with Leah, I am just overcome with this great joy, this feeling of what it means to really celebrate Shabbat and welcome Shabbat in through that joy, through song, through connection, even on Zoom. And with that, we want to give you guys the opportunity to introduce yourself to one another, to say hello to friends, to old friends. Again, we're going to put you in breakout rooms for a few minutes, and you'll just click join breakout room to go in the breakout rooms and say hello, introduce yourself, perhaps share a highlight or a low light of the week, if you want, and then we'll come back together in a few minutes. Shabbat shalom to all. I don't know if anyone here wants to join a breakout room and needs an extra hand to do so. I'm happy to help out.
For folks who are just joining us, if you're not assigned yet to a breakout room, let us know and we can put you in one if you would like to be in a breakout room.
Okay. We're going to actually bring everyone back together to continue our service. I think we should be on Facebook now. A little technical difficulties, but there we go. Welcome back from all the breakout rooms. I hope you had the nice opportunity to, again, say hello to friends, introduce yourself to someone new, and we'll continue. I think slowly people are coming back, so we'll wait and make sure everyone comes back from our breakout rooms before we start the service. We're slowly getting everyone. Welcome back. And we'll continue with our call to prayer. Oh, I think we're still waiting for a few more people. But it looks like we're all back now. So we're going to continue with our call to prayer with the Baruch Hu. I invite you to rise if you are able. Twilight people, as the sun sinks and the colors of the day turn, we offer a blessing for the twilight. For twilight is neither a day nor night, but in between. We are all twilight people. We can never be fully labeled or defined. We are many identities and loves, many genders and none. We are in between roles at the intersection of histories or between place and place. We are crisscross paths of memory and destination, streaks of light swirled together. We are neither day nor night. We are both, neither and all. May the sacred in-between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, and widen our vision. May this in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in-between people who have come to pray be lifted up into this twilight. We cannot always define, we can always say a blessing. Blessed are you, God, who brings on the twilight. And we'll continue with the Shema, the prayer where we contemplate all that is connected, all things in the universe are interconnected through God's oneness.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
We sanctify Shabbat as a time for renewal, for rest, and for the opportunity to be together.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם לברית עולם. איי 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 ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. איי 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 ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש.
For our Shabbat poem this week, I wanted to bring in a poem by James Baldwin, one of my favorite poets. And I encourage you to see the movie that's, I think, still on Netflix. But this is Untitled by James Baldwin. Lord, when you send the rain, think about it, please. A little. Do not get carried away by the sound of falling water, the marvelous light on the falling water. I am beneath that water. It falls with great force, and the light blinds me to the light. So as we move into our Amidah prayer, I invite you to take a moment to think about, what are you praying to God for? What are you asking God for? And I invite you, we'll turn back. Sometimes the words, we begin our Amidah prayer together for a sense of community. And again, as Leah mentioned earlier, it can sometimes be really helpful to have the words when we don't know what to say. So I'm going to invite us to use the words and then to offer our own personal prayer, our own personal reflection. And I invite you to meditate on this poem, on the words of our Siddur, on the words in your heart, as we offer a moment for personal prayer. I invite you to rise as we come together for the beginning of our Amidah.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agitei latecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imaot, Umevii Gula Livnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah.
I invite you into a moment of personal prayer.
Shalom Yemroma, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru. Shalom
now into our Misha Berach prayer, our prayer for healing. We're in need of a lot of healing right now. There's still a pandemic. We have some hope with increased vaccinations, some hope for an end to this pandemic, but it's still ravaging communities, particularly communities of color. Unfortunately, deaths are upwards of 500,000, and we're in need of so much healing, physical healing, spiritual healing, healing of the body, healing of the soul, healing of the mind. Our country is saddled with violence, with much discrimination, and we're in need of healing of our communities, of our world, of our country. And we ask for God's blessing. We say a prayer for healing. And tonight in the Temple Sinai community, we're specifically thinking of these individuals: Karen Matheny, Robin Barinholtz, A.B. Haupt, June Zeiner, Jim Zeiner, Jody Kleiman, Gilbert Kleiman, Ronnie Meckler, Allison Santucci, Meredith Fine, Luann Luce, Ben Slavitt, Evelyn Opat, Samantha Kramer, Ann Fenton, Nancy Benak, Marjorie Hominoff, Don David Ben Ezer Vechaya, Michael Ben Blulama Veshmuel, Shoshana Bat Moshe Ubella, Shoshana Ben Chana Umeir, Pinchas Ben Miriam, Davida Emanuela Bat Yechezkel Ephraim, Ephraim Ben Malka Rachel, Hanan Ashrei Ben Moshe Umiriam, Yaira Bat Sarah, Chaya Sheva Bat Bela, Leora Maya Bat Devorah Leah Umeidah Dani, Shmuel Ben Leib. And I invite you to add the name of others you're thinking about and you're praying for their healing in the chat this evening. We wish them all a refuah shlema, a complete healing, and we'll use the words of our sage Debbie Friedman to offer our prayer. So I'm pleased to have here Carl Sortino to be our Rainbow Shabbat speaker tonight from Fenway Health. Before I call Marvin Kabikoff up, the chair of our Rainbow Committee, to introduce Carl, I just want to note this week our Torah portion is Vayikra. It starts the book of Leviticus, and it starts with this word said Vayikra, and God called. And it's interesting because there's the commentators ask, it says Vayikra, God called out to Moses and spoke to Moses saying. So they say, why do you need 3 different words for God spoke to Moses? Why do we need Vayikra? Why do we need the Hebrew word Vayedaber, speak? And why do we need the Hebrew word lemor, speak also? So what are they saying? So the commentators talk about Vayikra. Vayikra is meant to be a moment, and God called Moses is meant to be a moment where people aren't necessarily paying attention. Moses was maybe in his own mind, and and Vayikra, God calls upon Moses, says, Moses, you really need to listen. And in other instances in the Torah, and here too, we have this holy book that we're about to see. This is the core of the Israelites' relationship with God. But in these other moments where God says Vayikra and God called out, were moments like at the burning bush and at the revelation at Mount Sinai. And what the commentators say is Vayikra is meant to jolt someone into paying attention, but also to jolt them into action and to listening. And so I want to say we're in this parsha of Vayikra. And so we at Temple Sinai are saying to you, Marvin, and to you, Carl, we're saying we are ready to listen. We are being called by you, and we are ready to listen and to act. So thank you so much for being here. And Marvin, I will turn it over to you. Oh, you are muted. You are muted, Marvin.
Thank you. Carl Siratina is the Executive Vice President of External Relations at Fenway Health, a community health center with a mission focused on the LGBTQIA community. Before that, Carl was Executive Director of the AIDS Action Committee, which is New England's oldest and largest AIDS organization. And he was that from 2014 to 2018. As AIDS Action's first executive director to be a person living with HIV himself, Carl led for the creation of the statewide Getting to Zero Coalition and continues to serve as its co-chair. Before that, Carl was a state rep for Somerville in the Massachusetts legislature from 2005 to 2014, where he was an advocate for HIV and activities and LGBT concerns. And people may remember his wonderful political ad with his father. That was probably one of the best ads ever made and one of the most fun. Carl received his master's in public administration from the Kennedy School at Harvard and his bachelor's of science from Tufts University. It's my honor to introduce Carl and to welcome him to Temple Sinai.
Thank you, Marvin. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Really honored to be here. And I was saying to Rabbi Stein, this is the perfect way to end a very long week with all of you. So just thank you for inviting me into your space. And it's nice to see some very familiar faces in the group here, in the little Brady Bunch boxes. I know a handful of folks here. So just hello to my longtime friends that are gathered here as well, and to all of you that I haven't met. So I was asked to share a little bit of a story about why queer-friendly medical providers continue to be important to the LGBTQ community. And I love the question of why. Why does this matter? Why is this work important? The question of why I can go in so many different directions with, but I want to share with you just a little bit of a snippet of the why from a historic lens, why Fenway Health was founded, and a little bit of the history of this organization that I really love so much. I've been working at Fenway. I worked at Fenway actually right out of college, my first few years out of college, and left to run for office and was in the State House. But when I saw the calling to go to AIDS Action, as AIDS Action was merging with Fenway, it was the most natural place to land back, because this is an organization near and dear to my heart as someone that's openly gay and living with HIV. To be at an organization without the core of its mission has just been a thrill of professional life and personal life. But why was this organization founded? So I want to bring you back 50 years. This is our 50th anniversary this year as an organization. And in 1971, it was really a handful of volunteers in the basement of the Christian Science Church over the mother church, if you will. And a few years later moved to the basement of an apartment building. But back in 1971, when homosexuality was still considered a mental disorder, Stonewall riots only happened 2 years earlier. It was the 70s. This was a group of people that got together under the mantra that healthcare should be a right, not a privilege. And volunteers came together and said, how do we make that possible in our own little neighborhood with lots of gay people, lots of elderly people, lots of students, and began to hold little volunteer nights in 1971 where people could pay 50 cents or whatever they could afford to see a doctor or a nurse and get care. And if you think about that time in the country around healthcare access and around LGBT equality, that wasn't even a phrase, that wasn't even a concept yet that we could really even begin to celebrate. Before the AIDS crisis really set in, this was a time of hope and thinking about how we can make healthcare a right and not a privilege for everyone walking through their doors. Through the 70s, providing STD testing to gay men and others when the issues of sexual taboos and homosexuality you couldn't speak of such things, right? To go to a place where doctors would welcome you in to provide you culturally competent care without judgment was really groundbreaking. And fast forward to 1983, the AIDS crisis had already begun to unfold. Fenway in 1981 diagnosed the very first AIDS case in New England. Dr. Ken Mayer, who is still our medical director at the Fenway Institute, diagnosed that very first case in 1981. By 1983, this crisis had emerged as a clearly emerging global pandemic, and it was hitting the gay community in Boston very hard. Fenway was in the epicenter of that. And that very same year in 1983, when we were in the midst of creating the first AIDS hotline and created the AIDS Action Committee, which spun off to become its own organization, Fenway also started an artificial insemination program. And I love that moment in time. Think about 1983. Marriage equality was not even a possibility. It was still illegal to have sexual relations with the same sex in most of this country. And Fenway said, we're going to provide care for people dying of AIDS, and we're going to create new life through artificial insemination for same-sex couples. Absolutely radical, radical kinds of work. That kind of radical, forward-looking provision of healthcare for people, regardless of where they are in their journey of life, regardless of what society says, has been at the roots of our organization since its very founding, in providing culturally competent care for communities that were otherwise being marginalized and stigmatized. That brings us to this present day and the question of why, which I love. Why is this still important to have a place like Fenway? We have marriage equality, we have non-discrimination laws in this state, but not yet the rest of the country in every state. In some ways, LGBTQ issues and HIV issues feel like they're almost an issue of the past, things we've resolved because we're living in this happy little bubble here in the Boston area. And yet we still see thousands of patients coming. We have about over 35,000 patients today, about half of whom are LGBTQ identified. We still see thousands of patients coming through our doors every single year for whom Fenway is a lifeline to care that comes with respect and dignity and the kinds of open embrace of letting people be on their journey in life wherever they are in that. Transgender care, for example, we serve 4,000 transgender individuals today, one of the largest trans health clinics in the country. We serve about 3,000 patients living with HIV. And these are people that literally right here in Massachusetts today have come to us because they had negative experiences in care in other places. Right now, while we want to think that everything is hunky-dory everywhere, it's not. And in the LGBT space, our community is statistically more likely to be poor, have higher rates of cardiovascular disease, cancer, obesity, diabetes, HIV. Our community is more likely to use substances, have addiction issues, to smoke cigarettes, have higher rates of anxiety and depression. Not to make you depressed, but these are really the story of a community that's been marginalized for generations. So while we've caught up with some of the legal access issues and legal discrimination issues, it's a community that's lived with generations of oppression, internalized a lot of that stigma and oppression, still experience that kind of oppression, discrimination, stigma, judgment in places all over our state and country. So to have a place that people can walk through the doors and be welcomed with open arms, with equality, with their inherent worth and dignity on display and embraced is still a lifeline for so many people that we serve. I want to just share with you our mission statement, which I love because it's the core of who we are as an organization. The mission of Fenway Health is to enhance the well-being of the LGBTQIA+ community and all people in our neighborhoods and beyond through access to the highest quality healthcare, education, research, and advocacy. We not only provide clinical, medical, comprehensive care, primary care, behavioral health, optometry, dentistry, pharmacy. We provide comprehensive care to our patients, but we also do research and education and advocacy. For example, we have something called the Education Center that we and our providers and our staff go across the country and train providers across the country how to provide culturally competent care for LGBTQ people, for people with HIV, because our job, frankly, is to make sure that you don't have to come to a Fenway Health to get this kind of care, that we have to make sure that this reality of little pockets and little cities across the country, places like Fenway, aren't the only place. And while we do that work, we also do advocacy. Last year, I was so excited when my CEO and our board approved us filing a lawsuit against President Trump when the Trump administration literally filed rules and regulations to roll back non-discrimination protections in healthcare for LGBTQ people. The Trump administration said they wanted to allow providers and insurance companies to discriminate against LGBTQ people in this country in healthcare, and we're a part of a lawsuit right now trying to wind that back. So I just share that because I think when people think about community health centers, there are lots of community health centers, there's about 30 in the city. We're unique in that we do this broader range of services and advocacy and education that help us. Back to where I started, I know we're about at time, but just back where I started, the concept that healthcare is a right, not a privilege, is not yet the reality in this country, despite progress. And our job as an organization is to make sure that in our own ways, for our own communities, we are there for people that we serve directly and to make systemic change, to make that reality true for anyone everywhere. So thank you for the invitation. I'm happy to answer questions. I don't know if you want to go a little longer, but just really a thank you and a welcome. And if I can be of service or a resource, or if Fenway can be a service or a resource to any of you or to your families, please don't hesitate to reach out to me after tonight as well, of course.
Carl, thank you so much, and thank you for it really,
That's
really
perfect.
Lisa, I'm a criminal post-conviction lawyer.
Great. We probably have enough time to take a few, maybe 2 or 3 questions. So I'll invite you to either use the chat function, or if you want to give me a little wave, I can call on you. I'll just ask that you keep your question brief so we can maybe take 2 or 3 in the amount of time. So again, feel free to use the chat function, give me a little wave, or you can use the raise hand function too on Zoom if you have any questions. And again,
That's
Carl,
good.
thank you so much.
I'm blind, so I can't do what you're telling me to Tanya.
That's okay. Lisa, do you have a question?
Yes, I have a client who's in his 30s or early 40s, he's transgender, and he's going to get out of prison. And one of the reasons he got in his situation to get convicted was he didn't understand what he couldn't do and what he couldn't do as a transgender person. And one of the things I've been telling him since I've been dealing with him for the last probably 8 years, contact Fenway Health Center, even before he's getting out, when he's getting close to getting out, because because he's
Alert,
Cape
Henry
Verdean,
and Marge has left the
because he's
meeting.
a Cape
Alert,
Verdean,
Henry
so
and
he's
Marge.
very ambivalent about his sexual orientation. How do you deal with these people?
Alert, Mary.
I would definitely invite this individual or someone that's sort of supporting them in their transition out of incarceration. We have case managers and health navigators that can get them connected to whatever care and services they need, both like primary care, medical care, but also behavioral health. We also have a violence recovery program if they've experienced violence in the prison system, which is often something we grapple with. So we have a violence recovery program to support people dealing with hate crimes, domestic violence, or any kind of other violence. Lots of services, but really the primary point of contact would be initiating a call to our patient services line, and they would get connected to a nurse or a case manager to get whatever resources they have. And we work very closely with other transgender social service agencies in the area to make sure that we can provide the wraparound care that they might need. There's also an organization called Black and Pink, which supports LGBTQ people that are currently incarcerated or that are recently incarcerated to help them get on their feet too. So Black and Pink would be another organization that we could help connect them to as well. So feel free to, please, Rabbi Stein, please feel free to share my contact information with anyone here and I can connect
I was
afterwards.
about to say, Lisa, perhaps we'll make a specific connection. I see two questions in the chat. What are the ages of people you see, and where does Fenway get its funding from?
Yeah, the ages, we go from artificial insemination all the way through elder care. So everything in between, literally. We have a program, we have the artificial insemination program. We have the Sydney Borum Health Center, which is really specifically focused on adolescents and young people. We do have family practice, pediatric care, right up through geriatric and LGBT elders, HIV elders, just elders in our neighborhood care. So everything in between, literally no restriction on ages for whatever comprehensive care people might need. And we also partner very closely with Beth Israel Deaconess as our primary hospital partner for any specialty care that we don't provide in-house. So we really can do comprehensive care for whatever people's needs are. Our funding is a complicated conversation, but like all health institutions, we get insurance reimbursement. We do our own fundraising through the AIDS Walk, and we have some galas. We actually have I should plug this. I should have thought of that. April 28th in the evening, we have Dr. Anthony Fauci joining us for our 50th anniversary gala that evening. So if anyone's interested in joining and hearing Anthony Fauci, it's free to participate. You don't have to pay to register through Zoom, but you have to register. But that's one of the ways we do is through philanthropy and fundraising. So healthcare funding is a disaster in this country. Let me just say that. But we make do with lots of sources. We also get grants from the local, state, and federal government, our research grants, our education center grants, and also grants for specific health initiatives that we're tackling as well.
Great, thank you. And I see Jane Silverberg is going to have the last question. Jane, if you want to unmute yourself.
I'm sorry, but I didn't mean to.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. So Carl, I just want to thank you so much for sharing, for all the work you're doing. Perhaps we'll see you on April 28th at the gala. If anyone does want to connect with Carl, you can be in touch with me or you can be in touch with Marvin. And again, there's some love for you and for Fenway in the chat. So we certainly are really grateful for all the work you're doing, for all the work Fenway Health is doing for serving the LGBTQ community and really working to make our health system more equitable. So thank you so much.
Can I say one question? There's many transgender in the state correctional system or the national or the Suffolk County or other jails. They told me they don't have any outreach.
So Lisa, we'll continue this conversation. Okay, this is not the end of.
I can't go to the Onyx. So sorry.
Don't worry. I'll connect. We'll connect to continue this conversation. But we got to move on with our service this evening. So thank you again, Carl, and Lisa will be sure to connect more.
This is the only opportunity you have to do this stuff.
We're going to continue with our service. I'll invite you to rise for the Aleinu prayer. The Aleinu prayer, a prayer that again is asking us to build towards a better future. Oh, we're still on the Misha Berach. There we go.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer reishit, shehu nosh shamayim hayoser aretz, umoshav yikaro b'shamayim mima'al, ushchinatu zo begovhei meromim, hu Eloheinu einod. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. על כן נקווה לך אדוני אלוהינו לראות מהרה בתפארת עוזך לתקן עולם המלכות שדי. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד
move into the Mourner's Kaddish. Again, this week, we're remembering the victims of the terrorist attack in Atlanta. We're remembering all those who died there. We're also remembering all those in our own lives, all of our loved ones who have passed away, either this week in the Jewish calendar or recently in the Temple Sinai community this evening. We're remembering Judith Angoff, Ralph Aronson, Rita Binney, Alvin Brackup, Melvin Breitstein, Beatrice Sobel Case, Walter Kobe, Anna Krakow Cohen, Pearl Serrata Cotton, Benjamin Crash, Sidney Cutler, August Donley, Samuel Fasten, Sidney Feldman, Barbara Goldstein, Dorothy Gossian, Samuel Greenwald, Philip Bernard Heller, Charles Jolas, Arthur Little Jr., Nettie Levine, Herbert Mandelbaum, Harry Perisky, Philip Puzarna, Horace Raphael Ripstein, Arthur Sable, Edith Sandler, Sadie Schnur, Eugene Schoenwald, Charles Shapiro, Joseph Sherman, Lillian Schulman, Abraham Schulman, Virginia Sinclair, Francis Butler Spack, Dorothy Cohen Steinfeld, Max Tischler, Morris Weintraub, Milton L. Weiss, Carl Whitman, Albert Wunitzer, Ida Wallstatt. And in the past 30 days, we remember these individuals: Ida Sanders, aunt of Dina and Michael Blau. Dina and Michael, we offer you our condolences. Michael Charles, the brother of Sarah Dillon Breuer. Karen and Dylan, we also offer you our condolences. Carl Newman, father of Peter Newman. Hildy and Peter, we offer you our condolences. Janie Freeman Gwenther, second cousin of Jody Kleiman, and Leonid Clemenez, cousin of Jody Kleiman. And Jody and David, we offer you our condolences. Please name others in the chat for whom you're reciting Kaddish for this evening or who you're remembering. And we say, Zichronam Livracha, may all their memories be for a blessing. And I'll invite you to rise as we recite the Kaddish together. Yitkadal v'kadash shemei rabah, ve'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabah mevarach le'olam olmei omaya, yiparach v'ishtabach v'pa'ar v'tramam v'itnaseh, v'tadar v'taleh v'talal shmei dekudasha b'richu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. We'll move into our announcements. Usually I invite Temple President Charlie Homer for announcements, but he is not here this evening, so I'll be sharing Temple Sinai's announcements. So I'm very, very, again, so honored to be celebrating Rainbow Shabbat with Carl Sartino, excuse me, thank you, of Fenway Health, and thank you so much again for sharing your words and sharing your story. Much more there, and thank you to the Rainbow Committee and to Marvin for sponsoring this Rainbow Shabbat and bringing Carl in, and thank you also so much to Leah for joining and leading tonight. It's always a pleasure to lead with you. There is a lot happening at Temple Sinai this week. We're heading into Passover. There's lots happening. First and foremost, I believe Jeremy Wolf will put it in the chat. He did. Join us for the Oneg this evening. Follow it right after services. Please join us. You may have been seeing the emails, but Temple Sinai is so excited to announce our Reimagining for Reopening listening campaign. This is an opportunity really for you to share your voice. Think about what do you want to, where do you want to see Temple Sinai go? What are you hoping for? We are dividing our Reimagining campaign into our 4 pillars. Thank you, Leah, for posting the flyer in the chat. So based on Torah, based on Avodah, Gemilut Chasadim, and Kihila Shel Chesed. So we'll have conversations related to learning and prayer and ritual and social justice and inclusion and engagement. And I especially want to invite you to this Sunday. There is 2 conversations happening. In the morning, there's a conversation about our religious school education, and religious school families should have received that link from Heidi. And in the evening at 5 p.m., we have a conversation related to Gemilut Chasadim, to social justice in our community, and we invite you to that. So you can either go Sunday evening at 5 or this Thursday evening at 7:30. And again, we want to hear your voice. Come to as many of these as you would like to. This is an opportunity both for us to connect as a community, but also for you to share your voice. Lots of other things happening this Sunday. We have an exciting pre-Passover learning called Returning to Egypt. That's going to be with Dr. Joyce Onana. She's an expert on Egypt, and it's this Sunday, March 21st at 10:30. Later that day, you can take a tour of Israel. So go from Egypt to Israel, right from the comfort of your own home. And that begins this Sunday at 2 p.m. So our tour of Israel at 2, our learning on returning to Egypt at 10:30. We have movies. Join us for Passover. Join us for a second night Seder hosted by Jeremy Wolf. And Jeremy's on it. Another form in the chat to sign up for a second night Seder hosted by Jeremy Wolf and I believe Robin Orwant. Please join us for that. Lots of Passover happenings, and we're looking forward to tomorrow morning. We have our monthly mindfulness morning group, and we have many more adult learning opportunities coming in April. An opportunity to learn with Nora Abrahammer on surviving the Holocaust, rebuilding lives, hope and courage from her mother's diary, and more mindfulness opportunities as well. So we're really excited for you to join us and to celebrate Passover together. And we hope to see you at several of the events this coming week and beyond. So with that, we'll conclude our service. We're gonna, as has become our custom, we need some extra blessing in our lives. So we're gonna share the priestly blessing, the blessing that's customary to say for our loved ones on Friday evenings, and we say it together as a community. I invite you to lift your hands in the way the priests do. I also like to think of it on the Zoom screen. You kind of see each other in the box, and you can picture yourself sort of holding one another as well.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Ve'yasem lecha shalom. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Ve'yasem lecha shalom, ve'yasem lecha shalom.
May God bless you and protect you. May God shine light upon you and be good to you. May God look upon you with favor and bless you with shalom. We'll continue with Kiddush, with sanctifying the wine for Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. L'chaim, and we'll conclude with this delicious challah. I hope you have edible challah in your homes. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you.